All right, so when we need to translate an English phrase to an algebraic expression, there's a couple of things we got to pay attention to. Some of this seems easy, and some of it is very tricky. So the directions tell us that we are going to let the variable x represent the number. So if we read our English phrase, it says 5 subtracted from a number. We know that a number is going to be x. Yeah, some parts of this are very, very simple. Like it says 5 in words. We know we can translate that to the number 5 and subtract it from, right? We know subtract means subtract. But here's the catch. If we were just to write 5 minus x, that would actually not mean the same thing as 5 subtracted from a number. So we have to pay attention to these direction words. English is a funny language, and sometimes we say things, we just change, one tiny little word in a sentence, and it means the completely opposite thing, right? And so there are some key words we have to pay attention to that tell us direction. From is one of those words. Okay, here's an example, and we're going to come back to finish this. So if I say she walks to school from home, that is illustrated on the top here, from home to school. And if I say she walks home from school, then that means the exact opposite, right? One thing you go in the morning, you go from home to the school, and in the afternoon you go from the school back home. Okay, so what we have to pay attention to is that word from. There are other words that do the same job, but from is going to tell us where we started, right? If she walks to school from home in the morning, she started at her house. And in the afternoon, she walks home from school. She started that walk at the school. The same thing is going to apply here. So 5 subtracted from a number, that tells us that a number, x, is actually where we start the number sentence. So it's got to be 5, not 5 minus x. It has to be x minus 5 because we're starting from a number and then subtracting away from that. Okay, subtraction is a funny deal because the order that you subtract makes a difference. X minus 5 does not mean the same thing as 5 minus x. Right? You can think about this with any numbers. Let's just, as an example, let's say 3 minus 2. Is that the same thing as 2 minus 3? No, those actually give us different answers. 3 minus 2 is 1, but 2 minus 3 is -1. And you'd say, well, it goes like the same. It's just a positive and a negative. And those are totally different numbers. If I look on the number line, if I start at 3 and I move backwards 2 spaces, it puts me at 1. If I start at +2 and move backwards by 3 spaces on the number line, it's a totally different space on the number line. Okay. So subtraction and division, the order that you write the number sentence totally makes a difference. Order matters for subtraction and division. On the other hand, if I pull another example in here, if I am using addition, 5 added to a number, a lot of the parts of this are going to stay the same. I still got 5, I still got a number that's going to be x, and adding is only a change here. The order does not make any difference. So I can say 5 plus x, that's fine. I could switch the order around and say x plus 5, and that will still mean the same thing, right? You can think about this with, just we'll make an example here using numbers. If you were adding 2 plus 3 or adding 3 plus 2, you get the same thing either way. It doesn't matter which order you do the addition. You get 5 for both of those. Okay, so for addition, also multiplication, the order does not matter. So if you have a word sentence written using any kind of addition word, add, sum, total, plus, the order that you do it does not make any difference. And same thing is true for multiplication. Multiplying times, product, any of those multiplication words, the order that you're going to write it down doesn't make any difference. All right.